Namaste. Welcome to this class, which is based around the element of water. Last week we looked at earth. So if you think of earth as everything that's solid state, water is everything that's liquid. And I think it's one of the easier elements to relate to because we drink water, we swim in it, we've got seas and rivers. It's tangible, we can touch it, we're aware of it in our everyday life. And if earth is the embodiment of everything that is structural, that is form, then water symbolizes the dissolution of that, the dissolving of form, the breaking down of things so that it's moving, mobile. And in us, if earth represents the structure of the skeletal system and the muscles and the tissues, water is everything within that. So you think about how much fluid there is in our body, the blood, the saliva, the synovial fluid. We are made up of about 60 to 70% water. Apparently when we're born, when we're a fetus in the womb, we're about 90%, and then born about 80%, and we dry up as we get older, finishing up about 50% when we're very old. So really important part of us. And I want to get into that feeling of fluidity today. We're going to use a mudra at the beginning of the class, and this is Varuna mudra, or Brownie Guide, Boy Scout mudra. It's where we touch the little finger to the thumb. So the thumb ignites whatever it's touching, and the little finger represents the element of water. So we touch the thumb and the finger lightly together, like you're holding a rose petal in between them. And the other three fingers are extended, but they don't have to be straight and stiff. They can be gently curled. So I want you to come down to lying and hold that mudra in both your hands. So laying on the floor, you can choose to have your knees bent or the legs straight out. Closing your eyes if you wish. Have the hands down by your side and take that mudra. It's either called Jala mudra, Jala meaning water, or Varuna meaning rain. And Varuna is an ancient Hindu name, used to be represent a guardian of the seas, of aquatic animals. So we're tapping into this feeling of fluidity, flowing, coolness, heaviness. And the mudra, we're creating an energy circuit when we take a shape and join our fingers like this. It's both grounding and energizing. So thinking about how water nourishes the body and purifies things, thinking of it, of washing away what's not wanted. In the body, we've got the circulatory systems like the blood flow, the lymph glands that take toxins out of the body, that heal us. And apparently taking this mudra can improve your skin condition, giving your skin a radiant, lustrous look. Who would have thought it, just by joining your fingers in a certain way? It's often known as the seal of mental clarity. So Jala mudra helps you to think clearly and communicate well. So coming from this place of lying down, I want you to bring in the Ujjayi breath, that slightly whispered sound, like waves on a beach. And that's very much going to be our theme of the class, this idea of water moving back and forth, not being still. So let this deep breath come into the body, like the sound of the ocean. And a little closure of the throat. And we're going to take that into our movements. So rolling over onto your right hand side, line yourself up so that your legs are stacked on top of each other. The feet are flexed, and you can bring yourself up on your forearm, or you can stay lying down with your arm extended. Depends what's comfortable for you. You can have the left arm in front of you so that you get nice and stable and balanced. And then we're going to lift the left arm up and over as we inhale and bring it back to the body on the exhale. Trying to make these wave-like movements and working with the breath. And if you want to, you can come up a little higher. Depends how the wrists and arms feel about this. If you want something stronger, the last few breaths, you can push into the feet and the bottom hand and lift yourself up. And see with effort, once you bring effort into the body, how easy it is to keep that fluid feeling. That's what we're looking for today. Let's bring ourselves down. And you can roll over now to your other side. I'm going to flip myself around so I'm still facing you. You might choose a different level to work on this side. So up higher or down lower. You've got a few breaths now to play. So once you're in a straight line, you feel balanced. Breathing in, sweeping the hand up and breathing out, bringing it back down. Like seaweed moving in a current. And it's up to you how hard you work, whether you want to lift yourself up into this side plank. And maybe you come up and down into it, but seeing how easy it is to keep the fluidity with strength, because we're trying to explore form today and find softness within form. So lovely. Bringing it to stillness, pushing yourself up to a seated posture and bringing soles of the feet together in front of you for our bound angle posture, Baddha Konasana. Have a little fidget with how close you can bring those heels to the hips without it being really uncomfortable and without you feeling you rounding your back to grab hold of something. You can hold your shins, your ankles, or maybe even around the feet. And then a little flutter like a butterfly, getting those hips moving. So the element of water very much connected with this hip and pelvis area. It's our Swadhisthana chakra. Think of sensual and creative in this area, creation of life as well as creation of ideas. And we hold a lot of tension here. We've got to loosen up these hips. Good. And then we're going to do some hip circles. You can choose to stay in this position, or if it's more comfortable, you can cross your ankles, come into more of a Sukhasana, our cross-legged posture, rolling around one way and then the other, waking up that pelvic area. Well done. Lovely. And then come to tabletop pose. And on our hands and knees, or knees and forearms, whichever is most comfortable, let's find that length in the body from the crown of the head to the sit bones at the back, and gently start flexing the spine through cat-cow. So inhale as you are, exhale, rounding the back. Inhale, dip the hips, and the tummy drops down, chest and head lift. And see if you can create a wave in the back. So each movement starts from the hips. The hips move first, it flows along the spine, ends at the head, lifting or dropping down. Feeling how your back is today. okay, how mobile it is. So these could be tiny movements, or you could make them a bit bigger now and start to move backwards and forwards with it as well. So when you come back, you're coming towards your heels. As you're dropping the hips, lifting the head, you're coming forward, almost as though you were going to go into a cobra pose, not quite getting that far. And see if you can make a circle, so bending the elbows, dropping down, pushing into the hands or forearms. You get a little circle going, and just when you feel this is nice and fluid and flowing, I want you to pause and see if you can reverse it. It normally takes a couple of circuits to get the feeling of going in that opposite direction. Good. This is a Shakti flow, Shakti meaning energy. So we're getting the energy moving through the body. Lovely stuff. Now we want to stretch out the back of the body, get those hamstrings stretched out. So you can either stay in kneeling on the floor and stretch one leg back at a time, or you can come into down dog. Hands a little bit in front of the shoulders, tuck the toes, lift those hips up, and deliberately press one heel back into the ground whilst bending a knee, and then swap it over. So kneeling or in down dog, do this a couple of times on each side. And then again, I want to sway in the hips today, get those hips moving. So you might, if you're in down dog, want to drop the heels over to one side and then to the other, moving with the breath. There's no rush here, we're playing. And if you're in kneeling, a good wag of that doggy tail, get those hips going, maybe sinking over almost to the ground, one side then the other. Before everyone comes to stillness, back in the middle, if you want to take a little rest, circle the wrists, shake out the hands, wriggle the fingers. Good. Before we come into our balance, I'm going to do a tiger curl. So again, this can be on forearms. I'm going to stretch out the right foot behind us, about hip height, toes pointed down at the ground, reach through the heel and the crown of the head. Inhale there. Exhale, draw the knee underneath and look towards it. Let the back round. Inhale, length. Exhale, draw everything in. This third time, you can have a nice stretch out, but when you draw the knee forward, swing it all the way forward, bring the foot between the hands. So we end up in a low lunge. Good. And you can take the foot a little out to the side if you feel a bit wobbly, because we're going to rise up. So you choose whether this is one movement or several. You can bring your hands to your thigh and then the hips. Otherwise, we're reaching up to the sky, length again in that spine. As you exhale, bow it forward, swing the arms down. They can touch the floor, but continue back. So you're taking the hands back and lifting them up for a little shoulder stretch. And then on the inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Okay, don't have to be doing this all the way. It could be on the hips at any point. They could stay on the ground, or you could do this full movement. Let it be soft. So let the elbows bend. Let the fingers be gently curled. Let the neck relax. So again, we're feeling this fluid movement rather than bringing tension into the body. Lovely. Next time you bow down, let the hands stay there on the floor. And take the foot back. You're either coming to kneeling or plank. So you can lift those knees up. If you're taking the knees off the floor, then shoulders over the wrists, nice and strong. If you're kneeling, still want a little bit of engagement in the tummy, some deep breaths, and then we're going to lower ourselves down to the ground. Try and do it with control. Peeling yourself down to the ground, ready for Sphinx or Cobra, your choice. So either forearms on the floor or hands under the shoulders. Reach back through the toes and through the crown of the head. So you've got nice long spine. Inhale, lift the chest up, draw the shoulders back and the shoulder blades down, and then peel yourself down onto the floor. So again, this is like a ripple coming up and down. Think about the contact that you're making with the mat. Let the movement be soft so that the neck is not crunching back either direction. One more time. This time, as you rise up, push yourself all the way back to kneeling. And we're going to take that on the other side. So the left foot is now lifting up and back in our tabletop pose. Take a moment to point those toes down at the floor. Reach through the heel and the crown of the head. Inhale there. Exhale, draw the knee forward, look towards the knee and round the back. Enjoy the opening of the back of the body as you draw the knee under, draw the tummy up to the spine, and then stretch it out, feeling length. This time, swing the knee through and let the foot land between your hands. Good. Ready to push into that front foot. You're going to rise up. You can come to the thigh or you can lift on up to the sky and then bow it down, softening down, taking the hands back and up if that's okay. Inhaling, lifting up, looking up if the neck is good, but you make this what you want to, as long as you've got a flow, it's nice and fluid and soft, but within that structure, okay, you've got to still be strong through the feet and in the balance. Last time, bringing the hands down to the floor, tucking the back toes, so you're either stepping back to kneeling or see if you can shoot that back foot back into a plank pose and hold it for a couple of breaths. Okay, pressing the floor away from you, feeling this stiffness in the body, and then dropping the knees. I want you to melt down onto the floor, become fluid again. And a little bit of a different way of working in Cobra now, or Sphinx pose. I want you to take the hands out to the sides, tense the fingers. If you want to, you can do this on forearms much wider than our normal Sphinx. And what I want you to do is on the inhale, draw the upper back up. So you're rounding it like a cat sort of pose. Lift the head at the top of the inhale, and then the chest, the heart come down, and the head comes down last. So we're doing that ripple, like in our Shakti wave, with our cat-cow, or trying to get that back rounded. Okay, it's more of a thought than a visual thing. Different way of working in Cobra, rippling the body. Last time. Well done. And then pressing yourself gently back to either to kneeling, or you can rest in child. So choice here, you can come back into child pose and rest. You can do those little Shakti waves from kneeling, or you can do them in down dog. So lifting the hips up, you come forward as though you're going to plank pose, but you don't quite get there. You bend the knees, draw the hips back. So you're going up and over and then back again. And like I say, you just get into your rhythm, and then I'll say try the other way. Okay, so you choose. If you want to rest for a few breaths here, you make the most of it. Otherwise, exploring how moving our body in these different ways makes us feel. Everybody join together in kneeling. Well done. And then I want to open up down the front of the body. 3 different levels you can work at here. You can work on hands and knees. You can work lying down, or you can work in down dog. So I'm going to show you lying down first, what we're going to do. We're going to be taking the right leg, bending it, and pointing that heel over towards the opposite hip. Okay, so you can do it lying down. You can do this kneeling. I'm going to demonstrate it in downward facing dog. So choose your level, how close to the floor you want to work. And then lift the right leg hip height, so that you're trying to be in that line like we were a minute ago. And then dropping the heel towards the left hip. You should feel something happening in the front of your thigh, bit of a stretch going on. If you're in down dog, then you can always look under that left armpit towards your foot, if you can see your foot. And feel an opening across the front of the body. That's what I'm looking for here. And then bend the knee if you're in down dog. If you're in kneeling, get ready to swing the knee forward. We're coming into a low lunge. If you're lying down on the floor, press yourself up. Bring that right foot forward between the hands. Okay? And up to you whether you want to drop the knee for this next part. We're going to rise into warrior two. You can make your usual way there, which would be to step forward into a forward fold and roll up slowly to standing, turn sideways, open out into warrior two. So I think all of you have done that with me quite a few times. If you want to try and grow up from the floor into it, I'm going to spin the back heel down to the floor. So we've got those warrior feet. Back foot is at that sort of 30-degree angle. And then pressing down into your front foot, keeping the knee bent, you lift your left hand up in a big circle and you arise into your warrior two. Okay, if that doesn't feel right, then you come into your warrior two in whichever way is right for you. And we're going to settle here and pulse. So take a few breaths to arrive in warrior two. On the inhale, you come up a little. On the exhale, you drop the hips down. So even our warrior is fluid today. Within the form, it's quite a strong structure. We're exploring that fluidity. And then turn the front palm up to the sky. So right palm up to the sky. Keep the front knee bent. We're going to come into peaceful warrior, reverse warrior. Lift the right hand up and drop the left hand down onto the leg. Okay, you can look up at your hand or you can look straight ahead in this reverse warrior. And then still keeping that front knee bent, I want you to cartwheel the hands around to come into side angle. Right forearm rests on that front thigh. And this hand, it can either come right over the top, it can come up into the air, or it can rest on hip or thigh. And we're going to move between those two. So on the inhale, you come upright in some way. If you don't want to stretch the hand up, you bring it to the heart, otherwise you're reaching up. And then exhale into side angle. Hands can stay on the hip, or it can reach right over the head. Move between that twice more. In your own time, with your own breath, explore what's happening in your body, where it needs to be strong and a little more structured, where it can find fluidity and movement. Really nice. Good. Next time you're in side angle, you can look down at the floor, bring your hands down to frame the foot, turn the toes so that they're all facing the front. And you either stepping back into kneeling or down dog. Your choice whether you rest here or in child pose or take some little Shakti circles, little waves. Each time you come to this, seeing how it feels in your body. Maybe you're working on your knees and forearms. What movement is the body allowing you within its structure? Which parts are pliable, more mobile? Which parts aren't going to let you move into that? Which parts want to rest? Good. Well done. And then let's do that the other side. So you choose the level that you're going on to. Maybe you're lying on the floor on your tummy. Maybe you're on all fours. Maybe you go into down dog. I'm going to do the opening up across the front body. This time it will be the left foot going out behind you. At hip height, find that length. If you're in down dog, shoot that foot up into the sky and then drop the heel over towards the opposite hip. And feel an opening. Okay, this is a gentle back bend. So what do we do in back bends? We engage the tummy muscles, we lengthen the tailbone to reduce the effort on that lumbar spine. Super. And then we swing that knee and foot all the way forward so it comes between the feet. And you might be in this high lunge, runner's lunge, or you might decide, I'm going to drop the knee just here. And this is the moment where we decide, how do we come into a warrior two? Try and make it fluid, however it is. If you're going to step into a forward fold and rise up, or spinning the back heel down to the floor, letting the right hand lead you as you grow up taller. Okay, so it's strong. You're working against gravity as we all arrive, come together in our warrior two and pulse and exaggerate the pulse today. So we're straightening the front knee and rising up a little on the inhale and exhale, coming down, seeing each time if we can drop a little deeper in those hips. Maybe the feet need to come a little wider apart. Good stuff. And we're going to turn the left palm up to the sky. Keep that front knee bent. Inhale, lift the fingers up and drop the back hand, the right hand onto the back leg. Breathe here. Remember, you can always bring that top hand to the heart space if you prefer. And then we're going to cartwheel the hands into our side angle. And notice it might be really different on the shoulder this side. So maybe you want to keep the hands on the hip. Maybe it wants to go up in the air or all the way over, trying to get the arm over the ear. And you're looking sideways or down. If you look up, it's more challenging on your balance. You can give it a go and then flow between the two postures. Keep that bend in the front knee. The temptation is to straighten it when we go into our reverse warrior. See where the head wants to look. Okay, so don't strain. Soften the elbows. Make this flowing and fluid. Good. And just like we're defying gravity, water does as well. You think of trees drawing up energy from the ground and plants, their sap moving around, and us in our circulatory system. Cartwheel the hands this time, find the floor, either side of the foot, turning all 10 toes. Good. And this time, instead of stepping back, I want you to step forward. So step forward, and you can either grab opposite elbows or let the arms dangle down in a soft forward fold, knees bent, have a little sway from side to side. See if you can release the neck a little more. Let the head really drop down towards the earth, unless that doesn't feel right for you, in which case you're welcome to keep it up more level with the heart space. Feet, I would say hip width apart. We're going to rise up in your own way, but slowly and fluidly today. Coming up to standing, take your time. Roll the shoulders back, palms face forward. And today our mountain, strong and steady as it is, I want you to imagine that it's by a body of water. So it could be next to the sea, it could have a lovely river running around it. And we're going to take those qualities into our mountain pose. So let's start with the classic posture, pushing down into the feet, growing up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back and tuck the chin a little. And then soften the knees, so a little bit of a bend in the knees. Get the pelvis into a neutral position. So check you're not sticking your bum out or you're trying too hard to tuck it under. Nice relaxed position. The tummy is gently drawn up. So again, we're not trying to engage the core at this stage. Shoulders are relaxed. Head is in neutral. You might just want a gentle little nod or roll of the head. And it should be effortless. The head, the crown of the head being drawn up as though it's got a helium balloon, just lightly, lightly, keeping it upright. Fingers are soft. So finding this fluidity, as though you can feel the inside of your mountain. It's nice and fluid, flowing. Right, now let's see if we can find that element, that quality in a balance. Okay, we're going to do warrior 3. So somewhere either towards the front of your mat or in the middle, certainly middle sort of forward. And we're going to balance on our left leg to start with. I want you to take your right toes a little bit behind the left foot and draw your hands back. And again, today I'm not asking for super strength. Sometimes this is a really stiff pose, like you've got a broom handle through the body. Keep it a little bit softer today. When you feel you can take the weight into that left foot, lift the right toes off of the floor. And it's up to you whether you stay very upright or you can tilt forward as much as a T shape if you want to. Play with where the arms go to help you balance. Maybe they come out to the side like aeroplane wings. Maybe they stay pointing back in line with the back leg. Keep the breath going. And can you relax in this form? Are the teeth clenched? Can you find softness in that standing leg? Breathing in, breathing out. We're going to bend the front leg and take a big stride back as we drop our weight into the back foot. Well done, staying upright if we can. And come into warrior 1. This is when the hips are parallel to the front of your mat now. That back foot is turned out 30, 45 degrees. The front toes, the left toes, they're pointing forwards. Put your hands on your hips and check those hips are square. And if they're not, lift up the back foot and place it down again. And we're going to take warrior 1. So bend the front knee, check it's going over the ankle. If it's going way over the toes, then you can take a bigger stride and lift the arms up softly. Exhale, take humble warrior. This is where we bow down forwards. The chest comes inside the knee. You can take the hands back if that feels good, like we did at the beginning in our low lunge, and then rise up again. So nice, big breath. Again, you can make this movement as exaggerated or as subtle as you want. 4 times we're going to do it. The challenge is to keep that knee over the ankle. It creeps back as you rise and fall. Press down into the earth. Are your toes madly gripping the mat? Can you soften them, flattening them out? Next time you're bowing down, stay there and see how it feels to link your fingers behind your back. So you're trying to drop the chest down beside the knee. And if it feels nice, take the knuckles away behind you. You get a squeeze between the shoulder blades. Keep the breath going. You can always bring the hands to the floor early if this isn't right for you. And then everyone release the hands down. Okay, I'm going to ask you to step to the back of your mat. So down dog if that's okay for you. If it's not, then gently come to kneeling. Make your way into a forward fold at the back of your mat. Lift yourself up to mountain pose. Good. And actually, I want you at the front of your mat. So we're going to walk forward to the front of your mat, towards the front of your mat, ready to do that on the other side. So get your weight into your right foot. You're thinking, I'm going to balance on my right foot. Take your left toes behind you. Shoot those hands back. And then soften. See if you can think, I'm going to be strong, but I'm not going to lock into this posture. Anytime you're ready, lifting those back toes off of the ground, trying to keep the hips level. So that left hip is going to want to lift up in the air. Try and keep it level with the right hip. And then explore tilting a little or a lot. Normally I would say flex the back foot and point the toes down to the floor. Today, experiment. You can point the back toes if that helps you balance. You can play with rising up a little bit and coming back down. Well done. Keep the neck long. Keep the breath going. Again, are those toes madly gripping onto the mat? When you're ready, allow your weight to let you fall back onto the back foot. Ready for warrior one on this side. So left toes now are out at an angle. The right foot is striding forward. Bend the knee. You can always adjust the stride at this point and lift the arms. If they don't want to lift up, maybe bring them to the hips. Exhale and bow it down. So this could be a little bow, or it could be a deep bow. Inhaling lifts you up, working with your body today. If the neck is good and you want to look up, you can. Okay, swaying fluidly, keeping the arms soft. Maybe this is much more subtle movement. Maybe you want to drop the back knee and stay near the floor. When you've done 4 of these bows, stay in your forward bend. Can you choose how you want to work in your humble warrior? You can bring your hands to the floor, bring the back knee down, or you can stay in this warrior posture with the feet and clasp the hands behind the back, drawing the knuckles back for a shoulder squeeze, holding opposite wrists or forearms. If that's more gentle on the shoulders, let the head go. Can you find softness within this strong position? And then bring the hands down to the floor, step it back and rest. Come down to kneeling. You can come back to child pose, or if you just can't help yourself and you want to keep moving, you can take some of those Shakti waves. Up to you. What does your body want? Does it want some gentle movement? Does it want to rest and be still? Lovely. Good. And then bringing yourself into a seated position. Come into Dandasana, our staff pose, where the body is at right angles. And we place the hands on the floor, and we can push the hands into the ground to emphasize this length through the spine, the crown floating up. If you want to, you can use a cushion or a block under the hips. Toes are flexed, stretching out through the heels. This can be a really strong posture. Today, I want you to find that strength and then soften. Bend the knees a little. Let the toes relax. Let the shoulders drop. And the hands are touching the floor rather than pushing into it. And maybe from the outside, you wouldn't notice much difference between that, but it's more of a feeling. I want you to feel the difference between striving and bringing tension and stiffness and solidity into the body and softening, finding that softness. Normally we're looking for a balance between the two, but go for it. You can be more fluid today. And then bring the right foot, sole of the right foot up into the left thigh, wherever that's comfortable for you. Don't worry if the knee is sticking up, unless that's uncomfortable in the hips. You could pad it up with cushions or blocks underneath it. And we're going to take a flowing version coming in and out of, well, it's not Janu Sirsasana. Our head to knee pose is when we bend forward over the straight leg. We're actually going to bend from side to side towards the bent knee. So one hand in front of the bent knee, one hand behind the opposite hip. Good. And on the inhale, lift the right hand and come up and over. And on the exhale, coming back again, all the way down to the floor. Inhale, the other hand comes up. Exhale, up and over. Keep that going. You can choose how you work with the breath here. And you can stay like this. Or if you want to, next time your right hand comes down to the floor, you can press into the right hand, take your weight on this right shin and lift your hips up. And the hand comes over, and then you can come down to the floor and over again. And you might want to explore that feeling, finding the length down the front of the body, the opening sensation. Good, flowing. One more opportunity to lift up. And then bring yourself back to stillness. Lovely. Come back to the center, come back to Dandasana. And notice if you feel a little lopsided. Let's do that on the other side. The left foot comes up into the right thigh. Take your time to wriggle, get comfortable, adjust the flesh underneath if you want to, and find a place for your hands to settle. So left hand kind of in front of that left knee, right hand behind the hips. Think of going backwards and forwards on this plane. Which way did we go first? So lifting front hand up and over and exhale. Find the floor again and bring the other hand up and over. Good. And imagine that you're in water. So there's this softness, kind of a support. So you're not moving too quickly. It's as though the air around you was liquid that you're moving through. And then maybe exploring taking your weight onto the shin and into the left hand and reaching the hips up and then coming down, like the tide suddenly got a little bit stronger. It's almost lifting and uprooting you, and then you're flowing back down. One more time. Maybe you stay down on the ground. Good. And come to stillness once more. And it's that time to gather bits around you that you might want for relaxation so that you're ready. If you want blankets and socks or extra layers, have them nearby. And then you can ease yourself down onto your back. And come into this 2-foot support posture, ready to do bridge pose. We're going to do something a little different first. So have the feet quite near the hips, as though you're ready to push down in them and lift the hips up, but you're not going to just yet. The palms are down beside the hips, face down onto the floor. And on an inhale, I want you to lift the hands, let them float up and over behind you, and let them find the ground. So it might mean opening the arms out wide, bending the elbows. See how much of the arms you can bring to the floor and what you need to do in your body to let that happen. Some people have their arms straight. Just depends on how flexible the shoulders are, how tight the muscles are across the back. And then let's bring the hands and arms up and over, back down to the floor. So do that with the breath now. Inhale, hands float up and over, finding the floor behind you. Exhale, hands lift up and slowly come back to find the floor down beside the hips. And pause there. Next, we'll do our bridge pose. So you push down into your feet, lift the hips as we inhale, feel the front of the body lifting up towards the sky as we roll up towards our shoulders and then roll down again. Exhaling, hips come down last onto the floor. And one more time, pushing down into the feet, rolling up, opening the heart, keeping the neck and the shoulders relaxed, roll it back down. Use the tummy muscles to control the descent. Now you can keep going with bridge pose. You can go back to lifting the arms, or you can do both. So inhale, lifting the arms up and over behind, bringing them onto the floor, and then trying to synchronize the arms with rolling back down the spine. Hips releasing and relaxing as the hands touch the floor beside your hips. So working in whichever way feels good to you. Sometimes it helps, bridge pose, rolling back down the spine. If you've got the hands and the arms doing the same movement, think of those vertebrae. Can you feel them moving? Unless the back is on the floor and you're using the hands and arms to experience this. Can you let the elbows be soft? Last time. Exhaling down. When you arrive next with the hands next to the hips and the back flat on the floor, I want you to take the knees over the chest and have a hug. Hug them in, maybe rock from side to side. And then coming to stillness in the center, place the hands lightly on the kneecaps and circle the knees. And this should feel a little massage on the back of the hips, massage the back of the pelvis there. You can make the circles as big or as small as you want to, and then take it the other way. So it's not the hands pushing the knees around, the knees are circling, the hands are following the movement. Good stuff. And then bringing the feet to the floor. The decision is yours for how you set yourself up for relaxation. You might want to stretch the legs out long and let the toes drop out to the side. Classic Shavasana pose. Decide whether you need something under your head, whether you want to put on any extra clothes, because you get cold when you lie still for a while. Let the palms face up towards the sky and see how that feels in your body today. And maybe you want to make adjustments. Maybe you prefer to keep the knees bent with them resting towards each other, feet flat on the floor. Maybe the hands want to be on the tummy. So have a fidget, settle into your relaxation posture. Make sure the head and the shoulders feel released and relaxed. And close your eyes if that's okay for you. Good. I want you to try and find the qualities of the element of water in your body. So imagine yourself not as a solid mass, but as a pool of liquids. Okay, and water takes the shape of whatever vessel it's in. So imagine your imprint that you're making into your mat. Feel the water filling that imprint, spreading out onto the mat. Think of the softness, the heaviness of water, and that ever moving fluidity. And the body is moving because you've got the breath changing the relationship of the skin on the floor. So there's a slight movement even in our stillness. The water element helps us connect to the ocean of our being, this fluidness inside. Allow yourself to dissolve down into the ground. And think of water moving. It always takes the path of least resistance. So if it comes up against an obstacle, it runs around it, flows around it. It smooths things out in its path. Think of a rivulet running down in some mud, smooths out little grooves, making it easier to flow down. We can take a lesson from that. If we try and flow in a certain way, if we're trying to move in a certain way and we find something blocking our path, we can resist it, we can struggle and suffer, or we can flow. We can change direction, we can change shape, we can move with what is in our path, around it, adapting like water does. And I want you to bring in a gentle Ujjayi breath, if that's okay for you. And I want to see if we can think of the idea of a circle of breath. So as you inhale, imagine the breath starting at the tailbone and floating up the back of the spine, right up to the crown of your head. And then on the exhale, think of the breath coming down the front of your body, over the face, the chest, down the middle of the tummy and the middle of the pelvis, so that it goes underneath and ready on the inhale to come up the back of the body again. So it's almost like a water wheel. Imagine a water mill, and the wheel lifts up the water, up the back, comes over the top, down the front, releasing back down again, but in this circle. See if you can bring in this idea of circular breathing around the body. Not being sure when the breath ends and where a new one begins. One breath flows into the next. Inhales and the exhales. And then releasing that image, releasing and relaxing the breath. Thinking about the fact that water is the only naturally found substance that can exist in all three states of matter. It can be frozen solid, it can be liquid, or it can evaporate into a gas. But each time moving from those two extreme states, it comes through the state of a liquid, the state of water. So it keeps its integrity, even though it can change its form, its natural self is water. Think of yourself like that. We can change, we can be different with different people in different circumstances. What we need to do is discover the real us and keep coming back to that, coming back to the self, to our authenticity, keeping our integrity of who we really are. And the last thing I want you to think about as you lie here is the ability of water to cleanse and purify. Thinking of it helping to heal any emotions that we find either overwhelming or that we're suppressing. A yoga sequence like we've just done, where we tap into this element and we work with the hips and the idea of fluidity and flow, can release feelings, emotions. So, don't be too surprised if something bubbles up later today. Go with it. Be kind to yourself. So starting now to make little movements, little fluid movements in fingers and toes. Think of it again as if it's in water today, gentle movements. Start bringing them into the arms. Maybe the head gently rolling from side to side. You choose what you want to do as you make your way from relaxation to resting on your side, rolling onto your right hand side, staying there for a moment, feeling your physical form once more, and then choosing to press into the floor and rise up, recognizing ourselves as this solid mass once more, but with that liquid inside us. Come up to sitting. Bring the hands to the heart, and let's have a couple of flows with the breath. Inhale, taking the arms out and up. Exhale, softly bending the elbows, bringing the hands down towards the heart space again. And then out and up, big breath in. Releasing that exhale out. Keeping the hands at the heart if you want to. Maybe taking the mudra, you choose. Maybe that Jala mudra where you touch the thumb and forefinger together. We'll have an Om, inhaling in. Thinking of that vibration, how water vibrates, how we feel that vibration in us. And taking a bow now to yourselves, to the practice, exploring the water element. Give blessings to the time that you've spent nourishing yourself, like water nourishes the earth. I hope that you move through the rest of your day and the coming days and weeks ahead of us with a feeling of fluidity, knowing that challenges we meet may present us with opportunities to try something new, to go in a different direction, take on a different shape. May you come back to the flow of your breath, the feeling of fluidity and adaptability. Flow with it and go with it. Namaste.